doing? This is Jamie Foster Brown. Welcome to the Jamie Foster Brown Show. And today I have some yummies. Well, one yummy at least. I'm going to tell you about him, Mr. Michael Baskin. Let me introduce you guys to Mr. Michael Baskin. He's a tough and talented man who heads up a law firm for 38 years now, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem that long.
Well, you're still here, honey, and you're still fabulous. Now, you graduated from Howard School of Law, but you've recently published this book, which I thought it was very interesting, a tender book of beautiful flowing poetry with music. This tough lawyer with music and poetry. It's called Mystic Voyage, Thoughts and Reflections of a Renaissance Man, correct? What's a Renaissance man?
You know, Jamie, that moniker was given to me by friends, and their definition, a man who transcends various genres. I have a love for the arts. Believe it or not, I fancy myself as a decorator. I like gardening. It crosses the continuum with me. And a professor, a lawyer. Yeah, I think I've done a little everything, I think.
I think you've done quite a bit, and from what I was reading about you, it's just, my husband graduated my husband taught at Howard University economics years ago, before you were born, this because you said you're still young, you're still a spring chicken.
He was setting the foundation.
Yes, he was. Well, the Baskin Law Firm Group, you guys have won millions of dollars in personal injury cases, and you're financial supporter of the Atlanta community, and you rebuilt homes, donated over $300,000, and you're amazing, and your heart is big, and then you love your child, your young girl. She's very pretty, beautiful. It's a granddaughter, right?
It's granddaughter. In fact, I have three, but that's the eldest. I think you're referring to the eldest.
Okay, let me ask you this. And how were you made? And welcome. Now, tell me about mom and dad. What did mom do? What was poured into you?
Jamie, I was raised by a single mom. There were 6 of us. And in fact, my book is dedicated to my mom, who died in 2019 at the age of 86. This book was a book of love that was dedicated to her. An amazing woman, strong woman, principled woman, woman of God, but a very strict disciplinarian. And I would always tell my mom that, Mom, if we were growing up today, you'd be in jail. You realize that, right?
Yes, I was going to ask you that.
Right.
The worst thing ever done,
Right.
Yeah.
Mom didn't spare the rod. In fact, we would joke with it like, it was almost unusual and cruel punishment. Not only would you get a whipping, but you were ordered to go out and find your own switches to whip you with, right?
Yes, I remember that.
How cruel is that, right? But
were you the oldest? Or?
No, I'm the middle child.
You're the middle child.
3 older brothers who were just wonderful role models for me, allowed me to learn from their triumphs and their mistakes, and that allowed me to navigate life a lot easier. And when I'm on the speaking, engagement circuit, I always take out time to thank my brothers, because I think it's because of them that allowed me to be as successful as early in life as I was, because they truly were very giving in terms of mentoring and pouring into me to help me be successful.
So wait a minute, are you the fourth son, is fourth child, or are you?
I'm the fourth child with two
Right.
younger sisters.
Okay,
Right.
with two
Six
younger.
of us.
Okay. So now what did your brothers do? What kind of work did you?
Brothers, in fact, my eldest brother worked for GM for years.
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And one brother, in fact, my closest brother, Ken, and I just told you my mom died in July of 2019. My brother died the next month, suddenly. Ken, who was my closest, Ken, actually a brother, but happened to be my best friend as well,
What
died.
work did he do?
Ken he worked for Delta. In fact, he was with Delta for some 20 years. Previously, he was an educator. And just a fantastic, he was truly the Renaissance man. Now, if you knew Ken, you would love Ken. Yeah, just the coolest guy that you would ever meet.
Well, I love Black men, period. So we're going to get into that because
and we love you too.
That is my mantra, right? And I have to tell you all about. I don't think there's any other race that has grow men like ours on this earth. That we have so many poets and have the nerve to have infectious beats with their poetry. Whether the poetry is good or bad, we got a lot of but where the whole world embraces our music, if the whole world doesn't embrace Chinese, no disrespect to the Chinese or the Indian or Indians or anything like that, but there's no other race that can command and infiltrate all species, all countries and countrymen, and everybody embraces our music. It's just you guys have so much power and beauty inside you. And I'm looking at you, you're telling me about this wonderful family of men, and you included, that we don't hear a whole lot about. So I'm so glad you're giving me the opportunity to praise you all and thank you. To thank you for who you are, for caring about your people, for donating. You rebuilt homes, $300,000 worth of homes. I understand you've done so much for your people. You love us.
Well, Jamie, let's not get too carried away. It's these very people that you're talking about that made me who I am.
Okay.
So it was very easy, and it is easy for me to give back. That's who I am, because I know from whence I've come. So it's an easy process for me to give back. So it's reciprocal.
Okay. But it ain't like that with everybody. Sorry, man.
Well, I ain't going there.
You can say that. I know plenty of mine. Trust me. I'm in.
Well, they didn't have that mama. They didn't have that mama I had, right?
Oh no, but you didn't have to accept what she was giving you, and so I praise you for that. I want you to tell me a little bit more about your background. Tell me about this musical journey of poetry and love that you created with your book. That is it's very soothing. Listening to, because you have music to it also. What made you do that? What made you write?
Yeah. We wanted to do something different, Jamie, with the poems. We wanted to bring them actually alive. It's one thing to have poems and you can recite the poems, but if you can bring them alive and people can see the story being told as I'm reciting the poem, as I've interpreted them, we thought that would be a beautiful thing. And quite frankly, the response to those videos has just been phenomenal. And I'm glad we did. And in fact, we're going to do a fifth poem, How I Wish You Were Here.
Can I hear that?
We're going to put that to video form, but we just wanted to do something different. You've got books of poetry, but we said, what if we, in fact, brought them alive by telling the story? And I think, I'm pleased with it. I think they came out really well.
It's very soothing and very kind. is very kind. The words and the intention is very kind. So I enjoyed it, and I appreciate that you made a book like that. We need to have this. We need to have kindness. We need to have understanding in our community more and more. More of a healing. It's a healing device to me. You know, it's just one more thing that we need that can help us move along and be kinder and gentler to each other. Because that's something I really want to talk to you about. Besides what you do, and you're a kick-ass lawyer, as I understand. You're making these millions and closing these cases. Tell me a little bit about that. What makes you so successful?
I think what makes the Baskin Law Group successful is that, and you've probably heard lawyers say it, but I don't believe most mean it, but we do. We care about the folk we represent, and we show it. We don't. We come prepared, and we come to kick butt. Quite frankly, and we've established that in the community where I think our clients trust us. And when you built that trust over years, you'll find that they'll stay with you for life. And that's what we have. We don't have to,
right.
We don't have to do the TV
you don't have to
ads.
do
We don't do TV ads. Now you might see me on a few buses throughout Atlanta, but we don't do the ads because we built a base. People know our reputation, and not only are we in Atlanta, but we also practice. We practice a lot in Texas, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama.
How large is your company? How many lawyers are there?
Actually, there's only one other attorney and 3 other staff persons.
Are you serious?
Yes, and everybody. And it's ironic that you asked me that because I've now just burst the myth. Because everybody thinks we're so large because of the results.
Oh my God.
But when I set out in 2002 to build this firm, it was designed to be a small boutique. And I wanted it to stay small. But everybody thinks it's such a larger firm, and it's not. We just do large things.
Y'all the Renaissance men. That's what you all are. Who wrote that poetry? Did you write it with someone else, or was it just on you?
No. And let me say for everybody in the audience, my poetry is not autobiographical.
Oh, it's not.
It is not about me.
Okay, I want to know about you.
But this poem, everybody thinks that that these love poems. The magic when I write, it can be from anything. It can be just from observing somebody walking, somebody saying a word, and it just sticks. And I've got a hook at that point, and it won't leave my mind until I write. And I'll write it, and I'll come up with that concept. All right. But I've heard so many folks say, well, tell me about this mystic voyage and tell me about this love triangle no more. I said, wait a minute.
What you talking about, Willis?
It's not about me.
Yes. Okay. Well, the music is beautiful. Where did you get the music? Who composed?
Well, the music just comes. I'm surrounded by talented people who assisted. In terms of making the music come alive, in terms of the videos. Great folk right here in Atlanta. And so I've been very blessed to be surrounded by talented people who understood my vision and ran with it, quite frankly.
Well, you have a lot of talented people in Atlanta. And
yes, we do.
So this is all, I just want our viewers to know that this is personal injury law firm.
Yeah, our firm is a personal injury law firm. We specialize in wrongful death cases, tractor trailer, commercial vehicles. We, in fact, just a few months ago had a 18-wheeler tractor trailer settlement of some $3.4 million in Dallas, Texas. Involving a motorcyclist. So yeah, we've been very blessed to be able to represent our clients and come back with some very good results.
What about that 2.5 million and the 1.4 million? What were they?
The 1.5 was actually against the city of Atlanta, dealing with a manhole where our client, unbeknownst to her, the cover on a manhole was removed, and her car ran over that manhole and went about 6 feet up in the air, came back down, causing her vertebrae to be fractured and the like. So yeah, that was a good result, but that was a jury trial verdict. The jury came back with the $1.5 million. The 2.4 was, I think, we've had we've had a lot of 2.4s and 2.5s, Jamie. But most are dealing with commercial vehicles.
Okay, all right. So now let's get into the really the book. How can they get the book? I want to know where people go online, Amazon.
No, and our book was with Amazon, and frankly, for the first 3 weeks, it was the #1 new release in the category of literature, speech literature, and it sold very well. But we've found a publisher right here in Atlanta, and people can go to mabrenaissance.com and review. Let me say it again, mabrenaissance.com.
Coming right to you, okay?
That's right, and review all of the videos that you were just referencing, and to purchase the book. It's easy to do. We tried to make the web page inviting, entertaining, and one that's easy to remember. So it's the book is 24.25.
Okay, right. How many pages is that?
And it's about 116. But you know, Jamie, as you well know, this book has some amazing illustrations in it in terms of the beautiful flowers. Yeah. And people have asked me about these flowers, and these flowers happen to be in my front and backyard, right? But that's another thing that we wanted to do. If you look throughout the book, the illustrations of the flowers are just absolutely beautiful. And that's another one of my things that I like to do. You see the flowers throughout, and with each illustration of the flower, there's a verse. There's a faith-based verse that
Can you read one to me?
I sure will. I believe there is beauty in all God's creations, although sometimes it is impossible to see. Right?
Give me this. Yes, tell me about that.
The majesty of God's creation. Enough said.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting to talk to you today. I spoke with a wonderful pastor the other day that talked about, she talked about God, Dr. Valerie Daniels Clark. She's the biggest franchisee owner out, so she owns so many franchises, and she's also partners with Shaquille. But she's the pastor. She's in Wisconsin, and she talks about the journey that we've taken through. It's interesting that I can talk to you about God and God's creation, and that's what I spoke with her about the other day, wanting to get some kind of understanding about these pandemics that we're having.
Right.
And so, but she the name of her book is Pandemics to Promise. So it's something that good comes out of when God comes and he purges, because I had just finished talking to her. I said, we're so disobedient. Even when we're told how to get rid of the pandemic, we're like, the hell with it. We're gonna, take the mask off, have ourselves a Negro good time and forget about it. We're disobedient. And we talked about that, and you referring to God and God giving you the beauty of what God has put down on this earth. It's my honor to be able to talk to both her and you within a short period of time, just a couple of days. And so I thank you for coming on my platform.
Right. And Jamie, for you, this was planned from my vantage point. This poem, I wanted to recite for you. I want you to listen to this poem, though.
Okay.
Right? And this poem is entitled, How I Wish You Were Here. How I wish you were here so I could express my most intimate fears. You could always sense my insecurity when others showered me with unyielding perseverance. How I wish you were here to share the warmth of the day and allow my nights to be spent in the very same way. Oh, lady, how I remember those precious moments we spend, always promising our love like tomorrow would be the very end. How I wish you were here to experience the accomplishments of your man and receive the accolades that you rightfully command. Yours is indeed a love that's true through and through. So let there be no question, Jamie, that I'm writing of you. How I wish you were here. Without you, my life is unfulfilled. How I wish you were here.
Oh my God, thank you so much. How beautiful that is. What made you write that? You were married. Let me ask you something. You were married before you were married for a long time, or?
Yes.
Okay. You're no longer married.
Yes, I am.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
How did I
I am.
understand that? Okay, and so when you wrote something like that, I was married 46 years to my husband. Incredible man. He taught at Miles College. He graduated, he taught Miles, and he taught at Howard in economics.
Mm-hmm.
And when you started reading that, it made me think about him. We used to sit in between each other's legs at the end of the day with a cup of tea. With we had naturals, and I would sit, and he would part my hair, scratch it, and oil it and braid it.
And see, that's some love. That's some love there.
Yes, so
That's some love.
But
Jamie, hold it. That's love.
And I did the same for him. So yes, I did the same for him.
Right. That's love.
What happened during that time, Michael? During that time, whatever had happened during the day or the day before, if it was something that irritated us or we were upset about, it came out at that time. If I had said something to him or he had hurt my feelings, let's say, how can I yell at him and he's parting my hair, scratching it, oiling it, and braiding it?
That's right.
It was an hour and a half each night with a cup of tea, and we sorted things out.
That's right.
I share this because these are important, just how do we manage? And I try to come up with ways and remember how my husband and I managed to get through difficult times so that the marriage could stay intact, which it did for 46 years.
Right.
And so when you were reading that, that made me think about him. And those are tender thoughts. How long?
And isn't that amazing? What you just described are acts of intimacy.
Yes.
And that's what it is. Mm-hmm. The fact that moment that you and your spouse were there, those were acts of intimacy. And if we could get, I always like to say, if we could get people to realize that intimacy doesn't have to come with sexual relations. Intimacy is simply touching or being close to someone and sharing a moment.
That's right.
And it's those moments, just like your moment. You're sitting here right now in 2001, but recalling such a very intimate moment for you. And those are priceless.
It's priceless. But when I'm listening to your book, what you just read, just said, even if people don't come up and share their personal things, because sometimes that's really hard, and you have to have a partner that's ready to receive it, whatever you're saying. Because I did some stupid things, and but anyway. They could read parts of your book, and when they're getting ready to sit to eat at a restaurant, at the table, or with their children, which I think is something very important to do, include your children and when you eat, they can read a passage out of your book, which give other thoughts to our, we have to be kinder and gentler to each other.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
So your book has all those tender moments and passages in it, which is something that if purchased, which we hope that many people do, they can live inside of that book and bring their lives in and out of that book. So I think that was absolutely, it's wonderful. I enjoyed it. What I heard, you guys didn't send me nothing. Okay.
Well, we were getting there.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, listen, now we got other stuff to unpack here. So I know you're a top drawer lawyer. I know that you care about your people. I know you've donated lots of money. I know you were involved with bringing Atlanta Clark together, right?
Yes.
How did that happen?
I was proud of that.
Yes, tell me about that.
I was general counsel. In fact, I was one of the youngest general counsels in the country at the time at Atlanta University, and had the opportunity, along with Thomas W. Cole Jr., who was president of both institutions in '88. But I had the privilege of finding the mechanism to bring both schools together. It wasn't a merger.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it wasn't.
And most folk weren't familiar with consolidations, because with two venerable institutions, there was a lot of rancor about no one wanting to lose their history.
That's right.
So that was very important.
Yes.
So it was incumbent upon me to find a mechanism that would bring both schools together, that would in fact keep the heritage of both institutions, but bring them as one, of Clark Atlanta University. And that's what we did in '88. We consolidated both institutions, and I'm most proud. I'm most proud of that, because.
Okay, so tell me. So were there financial problems too? By them coming together, you all could merge your costs. But
no, I think Jamie, it was an opportunity of to bring two institutions. Atlanta University was a graduate program, Clark College undergrad. Okay. So it allowed to bring the two to make one stronger institution. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it's done. I think Clark Atlanta University is probably one of the better HBCUs out there. And I'm proud to have had a part in the genesis of that institution.
How long have you been married?
Oh, this will be 40 years. Now, let me just say about my wife. Yeah, I say 40 years, right? Mm-hmm. But the truth of the matter is, I met my wife in first grade.
Okay.
No, I met my wife in first grade. And stupid little me running around, not knowing anything, I looked at my wife and said, I'm going to marry her. In the first grade now, right? And start, we don't like to tell our kids that, because they weren't allowed to date until they were 16, right? But we've been together a lifetime.
So right. What keeps you guys together?
We were talking about that, and it takes a lot of work, obviously. But the belief and respect, I think, first and foremost, respecting the individual, the other person, rises to the top, because, you and your spouse were together, 47 years. And that, when two people come together, there's some melding and melting to be done. And, we still have our strong personalities. And just like you like beautiful Black men, I love beautiful, strong Black women. And this woman is a strong Black woman, right? So it takes, somebody who respects and embraces that strength, and doesn't want to dull that away, And it takes, I think it takes that kind of man to embrace that strength and not be afraid of it,
Right, because I was going to ask you, do you let her fly? My husband let me fly. In
Oh,
fact,
and I think that's the only, not only let her fly, but encourage her to fly.
that's right. That's
Right.
right.
Not just let her fly, but be there to say, whatever I can do to help you take flight, you do.
Well,
And I think that's what's helped over the years.
he was.
And God knows you got to be special to be with me, because
God
I'm
knows.
just
I can tell all that.
I'm just I'm a special piece of work. So, for her to have dealt with that, she deserves all the kudos and accolades that one could give her.
So is she working? Did she work or did she just?
No, she retired. In fact, she retired as a church administrator at one of the larger United Methodist churches here in Atlanta. She did that for some 15 years and got a lot of joy out of it. But I think she's now trying her hand at her entrepreneurial side. She's coming up with a blog and all kind of stuff. And she just keeps me away and just tells me, I'll let you know when it kind of lets you know, right? Right. She lets me know what she needs from it at the time. But yeah, she's excited about her new opportunities, and I'm excited for her.
That's good. Would you give her my blessings? I wanted to ask you a couple of other things. When I get someone as astute and knowledgeable and gifted as you, I try to challenge them a little bit. When you see our boys, I care about our men. Mm-hmm. So I made it clear to you, I don't think there's any other race as great as we are, but yet we denigrate ourselves. We say the N word about ourselves, and we denigrate our women. And I don't know if you saw the Grammys with Cardi B, and they had the girls were basically doing like strip club,
right?
And that's held up as what the black woman, that's what she should. I got phone calls from men saying, "Is this what my daughter is going to be faced with?" You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, what do you think about that? I mean, I don't know how to dial back all that. I was right at the beginning. I produced Video Soul.
Right.
All these rappers, these rappers that are out there now, I probably was the first person to put them on. Mm-hmm. On television, and it wasn't quite as bad as it is now,
right?
But the pants hanging down, and then I tell young men, I said, pants hanging down on your behind like that—that's buck breaking. What's that buck breaking? That's what the white man used to, rape men and let no power, and even in front of. They don't even know our history. We have somehow. Where did we go wrong? Right. Nobody speaks up. I was talking to Al Sharpton, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and I did a show with him. I said, "Where's the clergy? You guys were clergy when Martin Luther King and them, and his boys were here. You led the way. You opened the door for us, and now I just see prosperity clergy, so to speak. You know what I mean? And you could have 10, 15 minutes before service starts. You got your flock right there. Why can't you teach us or have somebody else to say, listen, this is coming down. This is about to happen. Brace yourself, or, guard yourself, or you can get money here. Why aren't we teaching anymore?
Well,
to us, Michael?
Yeah, I hear you, Jamie. And I think a number of us share the same concern. But let me say this. You've touted my philanthropy, but most of my focus is with inner city males.
Oh,
that's where most of my dollars go.
Oh, now
that's where most of my time goes, with inner city Black males.
Okay.
Okay. In terms of mentoring, in terms of lifting up, in terms of ensuring that they have the resources and mentality to be young men in our society, ready to take the mantle of leadership. That's where I spend most of my time. That's where I spend most of my resources. And we're trying to do things through the church, through there's a very good organization here, the Dukes Foundation, that we give to and believe in, because they are dealing with the young men 14 through 18 and trying to get them now, to guide them to get educations. And the one thing I would tell you, Jamie, is I'm all for Black folk getting education, but not to get a good job. See, that's what our parents told us.
Yes, right.
You need to get a good education to get a good job. No, you need to get a good education so you can go out there and create your own wealth. You need to get an education so you can go out there and create something for yourself that you don't have to work for anyone else. You create the wealth. That's what I think we have to start preaching and imbuing in our young people. Not to go get a job, not to become frustrated like my grandfather did, who worked a job for 40 years, and at the end of 40 years, they gave him a watch, right? That wasn't a very good watch, by the way, right? And that was what he got for 40 years of service. And I remember my grandfather had a 6th grade education, but he was smarter than most of the folk that I've ever come into contact with in my life. And he shared this with me that I've always taken with me. He said, son, I want you to work with your mind and not your back.
Right. Absolutely.
That stuck with me for life. That's what I've tried to impart to young people. But that's what I do. When as busy as I am, I'm never too busy to go talk to some young Black kids, in the inner city. That's where my heart is. That's where my money is. And that's where I think we have to start. Now, that's not to say that our young ladies are not as important. They are. But my emphasis has been in trying to save a dying species, because I don't want any more young men going to prison or being killed. So we're trying to, in fact, rally and galvanize these young men to understand you don't have to be a rapper. You don't have to be an athlete. All you got to do is use what God gave you. And see, I can use myself for that.
Right.
I'm not a rapper. And my rhythm ain't that good, Jamie. I won't admit that, right? But you can go out there and have the multi-million-dollar homes. You can have the Rolls Royces. You can have the Bentleys. You can have all of that, and use your mind to get it.
Well, we're a very tough, resilient race, and very smart. We create a lot of stuff, so a lot of it is taken away from us and given to others. But I just think I lived 9 years in Sweden, and that's when I developed my love for my people, and in particular Black men, because I said, well, damn, I tell this story about Arnold Schwarzenegger all the time. That was telling me he would be working out, in the gym, and he'd look over, and he's working so hard. He looks over, there's a Black man doing the same thing, bulging, listening, like the sun is shining down on him. And he said he would work harder and try to look like that. I was devoid of Black men, even though I was married to my husband over there, but I was pretty much devoid of Black men for 9 years being in Sweden. And that's a wonderful country, by the way. I'm educated there, graduated from the University of Stockholm. But that's when I learned how to love us. That's how I learned how powerful and magical we are as a race. And then when I came back, that's when all the Black women, before I left, Black women were going to college so they could meet a Black man in college, get a lawyer, a doctor, whatever, professor. And so they were going to college so they could meet you. You see what I'm saying? And then, but when I came back, the women were still in college, but the guys were on the ground eating concrete. In other words, they're down being arrested handcuffed and all that. And so a whole 2 or 3 generations of our men have been stolen from us. And the woman was given the power. You know, the government came in to give a good government cheese and a check, would not allow the father to be in the home.
Right.
And that was, I look at that as the demise of our families.
And I think it was intentional.
Yes. And that's what I'm trying to do. I want us to understand that we don't know that. I mean, we don't teach that. Nobody, who's going to teach it? Who's going to talk about it in school or whatever? We don't talk about it in the churches. That's why I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to figure this out, that we can re-educate and reposition ourselves so that we can do better. Because by me being devoid of my race, it made me understand how incredible my race is, and particularly our men. You know, and you're one of them. You know, and I'm so proud of you. You know, that this book of poetry, the way you help your man, how you helping our people. And I didn't know about your boys that you work with. Are you working with girls too?
No, I did work with boys and girls when I was chairman of the Boys and Girls Salvation Army Boys and Girls Clubs. So I've worked with both, but I've dedicated myself to trying to save our young Black men. I just think that's something that if we don't, we're going to run the risk of having a society where, you sisters are not going to have us beautiful Black men to choose from.
I keep telling everybody, I said, wait a minute, I've been told that our their target is Black women. I said, okay, cool. I know we have the education and all that. We went to college while our men went to jail. Understand that was done to us purposely. I don't think that they realize that. I said, but who you gonna be with? Who you gonna be in the bed with? You ain't looking for anybody else. Everybody looks for our men. You know, our men are the ones that are sought after. It punishes me so much when I hear all the terrible things that our men say about us and about each other. And so I'm just hoping that we can introduce that to even the young men that you have. Don't talk about yourselves like that. Don't call, a nigga do this, a nigga do that. So don't talk about your women like that. Your women are, we're in an incredible race, and I know that because I'm talking to one of my incredible race, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Baskins, and I appreciate that you let us come to visit with you.
Well, it has been my pleasure indeed, and anytime I get to look at a beautiful Black woman for
so
30, 40 minutes, I'm going to take that opportunity each and every time. But I would like your, Jamie, if I could, I would like to remind your viewers that the book is The Thoughts and Reflections of a Renaissance Man. Mm-hmm. It can be purchased at mabrenaissance.com. Go in, take a look at the videos. I think this is a very uplifting book. And that
Michael, I want you to read one of the passages. Can you read one to us?
Sure. I'll do something. Let's stay with the faith-based.
Okay.
Just I was commenting earlier, Jamie, that this book came about because of social media. I have been posting for the last 3 years what I say are my 5-second bites, because a lot of times the attention span is about 5 seconds, right? So you've got to come out, you got to hit them with something for 5 seconds that's uplifting, that will get them to think. And the response was just so phenomenal. But just one of the quotes to give you an example: open your heart, mind, and soul, and allow God to direct your path, and behold the wonders He will bestow upon you. Mm-hmm. That's your little morning bullet. Yes. That you'll often get from me. And another: relationships are like flowers. Nurture and care for them. They will bloom into something beautiful. Neglect them, and they will wilter away and die. choose love.
Choose love.
Choose
Michael,
love
tell us
each
how
and
we
every
can get
time.
the book, how we can order the book.
Just go to mabrenaissance.com. It's an it's an easy fix, Jamie. I've made it as easy and painless as possible.
I'm repeating. We repeating it so that we don't forget this. This is wonderful. I find you. You know, I major in men.
Well, that's a good thing.
I spend most of my time trying to figure out how I'm going to help our men, and I look at you, and you are what I want our men to be, and I really appreciate your being with us this evening.
It's been my pleasure, and thank you for having me. And I will continue to follow you.
Oh no, you're not getting rid of me. I'm going to be around.
No, look, Jamie, we're counting on it.
Yeah, I'll be and call me because you know Atlanta. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. You got your hands full.
Atlanta's a beautiful place. Yeah, Atlanta is home. I made a conscious decision to come back here in 1982 and had choices to be in LA, New York, DC, but Atlanta was the place I knew I would make a difference, and I did.
You know, I understand that you talk to women on Facebook also, and one of the gifts that you have is that your wife understands that. You know, a lot of women. My husband was very close to a lot of women. You know, and I recognized they needed that. A lot of them, they didn't have anybody in their lives.
Right.
And you know, can you speak on that a little bit? That you chose it. She doesn't. That you have that kind of relationship with him. A lot of people don't know how to cultivate that.
Yeah, but I think she knows the man I am in terms of my commitment to women and the empowerment of women. And this entire book is skewed toward empowerment of women. It speaks to women. It speaks to the strength of women, the beauty of women, the love of women. And that's what I knew. I knew from a single mother who raised 6 kids and 3 great aunts who were all strong Black women. So it's easy for me to be authentic.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference. When you know that the person is authentic and genuine in terms of wanting to touch and uplift women, not for any ulterior motive, but because it's the right thing to do, it becomes easy to support that. And I think that's why she's been able to embrace it and know that, you know, I've got 2 granddaughters and I need this world to be a better place for them. I need them to be empowered, and I don't want them to shrink because people expect them to shrink. I want them to be bold. I want them to be ambitious, and I want them to be kick-ass. And that's what I'm working on.
I'm sure they will be. They got a hell of a grandfather, I can say that. And
well, you know, as they say, Papa's looking out.
Well, didn't you build a pool for one of your granddaughters?
Yeah, for all 3.
For all 3.
All 3. And this is the funniest story. You know, we downsized because we said, okay, too much house, you know, and I realized, Jamie, early on, I'm just not a communal living kind of guy. I just can't get into that, right? So we said, darn, you know, back to some ungodly square footage, right? But the deal was with the kids, Papa, if we move, you've got to get us a pool. He said, okay, that's fair. So the eldest was the spokesperson, right? I kid you not. This child would make every trip every weekend to go look at the houses. And you would think she was an adult looking at a house that she was going to buy the house, right?
Yes.
She went in and said, this is nice, but I don't think it's going to accommodate the pool in the back. We looked at each other like, what did this child just say? She said, Papa, I don't think it's going to accommodate a pool. I said, you're right. It won't accommodate a pool. And the house we chose, she chose it. She helped choose the house. And you know why she did it?
Why?
Because it was an acre, this property in the city, in an area called Chastain Park.
I know where that is.
Right. But she looked in the back and said, this is a no-brainer, right? I've got plenty of space for a pool. So we built them a pool. And during the pandemic, we were hopeful that they would have been able to enjoy it this past summer. But they've already planned their parties and everything. So we're real excited about them. But it's their pool.
How old are they?
14, 12, and 9.
Okay, 14, 12, and 9. Okay.
Right.
But
two girls and a rambunctious boy.
He's
all boy.
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
So, but you got the little trinkets too. Look, gives you 2 Bentleys and a Rolls Royce, right?
Well, I don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Well, how did I find out?
Those are just trappings of the business.
Okay. All right. I enjoyed you. Please let's stay in touch and let me know if there's anything I can do, and especially in regards to those boys. You know.
I will. And when I tell you, Jamie, it has been a pure delight to take this time to chat with you. You're such a beautiful, delightful woman, and it's my pleasure. And I want to thank you for having me. And again, for those folk that want the book.
That's right. That's right.
The Thoughts and Reflections of a Renaissance Man.
What is that? How many pages is that? 80?
It's 116.
116.
116 with illustrations and and what I tell them, Jamie, even if you don't want to read the book, it's a good piece to put on your coffee table for conversation. In fact, they got this guy on the front page that's a good looking guy that I'm sort of familiar with. I vaguely remember.
I think Suave Bull. They don't get no finer. Like a good wine.
Jamie, you're a good medicine for the brothers. Let me tell you.
I'm in love with you all.
You are a good medicine for us. And I want to thank you for that.
Oh no, you're gonna have to be a part. I'm gonna have to be part of what you're doing, and you're gonna have to be a part of what I'm doing when I'm trying.
Let's just do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's just do it.
Do it.
Let's just do it.
Okay.
But now, if we had more folk like you, we'd be in a hell of a better position. But I'll take you right now.
Okay. Oh, you just settle for me. Okay. All right. Okay.
No. Don't try to deprecate. All right. Just take your sweet accolades and just embrace them.
All right. Take care of yourself and take care of all the Black men around you and Black women. I love my men. I love that you've accomplished so much and that you love your people and that you've done so much for them and probably will continue to do that. Thank you so much, Mr. Baskin. Thank you for letting us spend the evening with you.
Thank you. And you take good care.
I will.
All right. Bye-bye.